Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Messy Magic. I'm your host, Nadee Guy, and today is quite a different episode. I'm sitting on a beach swing, like a child's, playground swing on a beach in Fiji, and it's our last day here. And I had no intention of recording a podcast, and something started to bubble up inside of me, and I've got a couple of minutes to myself, so I decided to pull out my phone and record an episode. And how amazing is that we live in an age where I can do that. Like, I can decide, I can realize that there's a podcast episode that wants to come up, and I can be away from home, and they have this little piece of technology that I can use to record a podcast episode and deliver it to you. It's like, I'm so grateful to live in an era where we have that option. Now, without babbling on for ages about that, let me get to the point. So I just had this realization. I was doing a little bit of journaling as I sit here on the swing, and I'm watching my boys out in the water. They went stand-up paddleboarding. It's very calm. I don't know if you can hear the waves and the birds, but it's beautiful. And I just journaled something, and there's a little bit of profanity which I won't I won't repeat. But basically I said, I'm really tired of this voice inside that pipes up and says, what can I share from this moment? What do I want people to know whenever I'm having a moment to myself? And I am very aware that I have this inner voice that is very prevalent. It's something that I'm working through. It seems to be a lifelong challenge for me to work around this inner voice that isn't always the most helpful voice. But it's only right now in this moment, or just before I hit record, that I realized that this inner voice is also present for me when I'm having a moment to myself, and it's like a self-nourishing, self-nurturing moment, and I'm thinking all of a sudden about what I'm learning, what I can share, and how I can help other people through this moment. And until now, I kind of thought that was a supportive thing to do. But what I realized as I was journaling, and you might relate to this in different ways, but is that this is actually sometimes, not always, but I would say probably the majority of the time, a form of disassociation. In feminine embodiment practices, we are very much focused on being present with what is present, with being attuned to acknowledging whatever is going on for you in the moment, in your body, in your experience. Because there is important information and data there that if you are able to be with it, experience it, move through it, move with it, there is absolute treasure that can change your life, quite honestly. And it sounds so simple, but it's not always easy, and often it's not easy. So this is why it feels like a revelation to me that wanting to share my experience or share a lesson I'm learning is a form of disassociation for me. Because it happens often, but the specific time I'm talking about is when I'm, for example, sitting on the beach in Fiji with my feet in the beautiful cool sand in the shade of this incredible tree, watching my boys out on the water, doing some journaling, and having the realization, like having this moment to myself that is a really beautiful moment just for me, and having this voice pipe in, what can I share from this? Now, the meta, ironic kind of moment in this is that I am actually recording a podcast about it, but it's almost like it's a level above. Like I had the realization, and I actually do feel like there's a lesson in this that I wanted to share. So there's a nuance in that I'm going to be working with, but I do want to record this because I felt like it was something that was happening in the moment that I wanted to share, rather than, and I guess this is the nuance, is that typically I'll be like doing something and feeling really good or feeling really nourished and searching for, what can I share from this? What lesson am I learning that I can share, as opposed to something bubbling up and going, this is an amazing realization that I'm having that I feel would be beneficial and valuable to the people that follow this podcast. So there's the difference, I suppose, and me working through that in real time. But it kind of also made me think that I could do a whole episode or series of posts on forms of disassociation and why it matters. And so that's why I pressed record. And I've kind of already covered part of it. But there are so many ways that we remove ourselves from the present moment. Some of them are obvious and some of them not so obvious, like the one I've just described. And as I sort of said, the reason it matters is, well, there's lots of reasons, but one of them is that when you're having an experience, when you're in your body, when you start to feel something or know something, it can give you insights into things like what's most important to you, where you might be feeling a boundary has been crossed, something that you might need to look at more deeply if you're feeling dishonoured or disrespected, or maybe it's the opposite, and maybe it's you're feeling pleasure and you're feeling into your senses and your body desires more of that, but there's something in you that's resisting it. Why are you resisting it? Do you not feel worthy of it? Do you feel like it's too much pleasure? Do you feel like guilty or shame for experiencing something so magical? So there are lessons to be learned and incredible nuggets of treasure to be found in those moments of pure connection with your experience and what is going on for you, your feelings, your thoughts, the bigger emotions, the knowings that you have, the energies that you feel. And so disassociation happens when we pull ourselves out of that, or our body pulls us out of that for some reason. Sometimes we do it knowingly and we decide that's too much for me, or I don't want to do that, so I'm going to call a friend, I'm going to check my emails, I'm going to post something on Instagram, I'm going to watch some TV, I'm going to go do some work. These are all ways that we can disassociate from or disconnect from our body and our experience. And I think a really powerful practice is to just be aware, just to start to notice when you are disconnecting from an experience. And that's all you need to do to start with, is just to be aware and have that practice of noticing, I'm pulling out of this experience. I'm distracting myself. I wonder why, or I wonder what's going on. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to go any deeper than that if you don't want to. Of course, the option is also available to move towards that, to go into questioning, well, what is the deeper problem here, or the challenge, or the reason that I'm disconnecting, desensitizing. And so that's kind of one practice, I suppose. And another practice that I would share is to gently begin to practice more presence, more mindfulness, and just more simple awareness in the moment, staying in the moment and just sensing all of your senses, using all of your senses, including those moments that are a bit uncomfortable for some reason, and just doing your best to stay with it, because all of these practices bring you closer to your truth, your deepest self, your deepest sense of experience. I can see my little one running back to me now. I'm going to head off and say hi to him and talk to him about his paddleboarding experience. But thank you for listening today. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be with you again really soon. In the meantime, have a magical day.